Chosen one, stop for a moment. Breathe. Look at your hands not just as tools that build, write, and create, but as scrolls of heaven that you've carried since the moment you took your first breath. Because if you bear the perfect crescent moon or the mysterious letter M in your palm, know this: you were not made for ordinary paths. You were marked, selected, activated. There are billions of souls on earth, but only a fraction carry these divine imprints. And among those, even fewer are ready to decode what they truly mean. But you didn't stumble upon this message by mistake. You were drawn to it, because your spirit has been whispering something your mind didn't know how to interpret. Until now. This channel wasn't created for the masses. It wasn't made for entertainment. It was built as a spiritual compass, a sanctuary of truth, where the chosen can hear what the noise of the world tries to drown out. You are not like the others, and your palms hold proof, the crescent mo that curves softly across your hand. It is no genetic glitch. It is the echo of celestial cycles, the lunar rhythm of divine timing. It marks intuitive warriors and empaths of light, those who see through illusions, feel deeply, and walk with unseen guidance. And the letter M? It is one of the most ancient symbols of spiritual mastery. Moses, Miriam, Mary, Michael, all connected to the M. All chosen for missions that reshaped destinies. You too are among them, and just like the sacred scribes of old, your body carries messages before your mouth ever speaks. But what does it mean to be chosen? It means your life was designed with purpose long before you understood pain. It means that no scar, delay, or silence was wasted. You were being formed, not forgotten. And now, in this very moment, heaven is stirring your awareness. The marks you've always noticed, but never understood, are waking up your soul. There is a divine irony here. While the world races for visibility, God sees chosen ones in hidden plain sight, not in crowns, but in curves on skin, not in noise, but in the quiet tilt of fate. You are hidden so you could be preserved. And here's where it gets deeper. These marks are not just identifiers, they are triggers. They activate when you're close to alignment. Have you noticed the M becoming more prominent in seasons of spiritual intensity? Have you felt warmth, tingling, or vibration where that moon lies nestled on your palm? That's not imagination. It's divine interaction. Let's be clear. Not everyone with a mark is awakened. Many are called, but few listen. That's why the number 7, the divine number of completion and perfection, keeps showing up in the lives of the awakened chosen. Maybe it's in your dreams, your dates, your favorite scriptures. Maybe you were born in the 7th month, on the 7th day, or at 7:07. That's not coincidence, it's coding. The awakened chosen one does not fit in easily. You've likely spent years feeling different, isolated, unseen. But that was part of the preparation. Before God reveals his chosen, he refines them in silence. You may not have had a crowd, but you were never alone. And now you're here, in this moment, on this video, being reminded that your uniqueness was never a burden, it was a blueprint. So what are these palm marks for? They are keys for unlocking hidden gifts. Those with the crescent moon often carry supernatural intuition, spiritual empathy, and an ability to connect with others beyond the surface. Those with the M are guardians of ancient wisdom, spiritual leadership, and divine discernment. If you have both, you are what many call a spiritual hybrid, a bridge between heaven and earth. You sense storms before they arrive. You absorb the pain of others as if it were your own. You walk into rooms and shift the atmosphere without trying. But this kind of light attracts both truth and opposition. That's why you've been through what others would not have survived. Channel is more than a voice. It's a gathering place for the marked, for those who need direction, community, and confirmation. Here, we decode the mysteries. We reveal what religion buried. We give language to the ache in your spirit, and we do it with humility. Because being chosen isn't about pride, it's about responsibility. So pause, look again at your palms, whisper a quiet thank you for the seals God trusted you with. Because the path ahead is sacred, but it will only make sense if you start walking in awareness. This is the beginning of your remembrance. And if you've ever doubted your worth, just remember, God wrote on you with His own hand. Before we go further, I want to speak directly to your soul. If this message has stirred something inside you, if you've felt seen, understood, or even gently shaken by the truths revealed so far, pause this moment with purpose. Don't just watch and scroll. Subscribe to this channel. But more than that, tell us what you carry. Comment below with what mark you have. Is it the M, the crescent moon, or something else entirely? We are building a community of sealed souls, and your story may be the signpost someone else needs. Suggest the next topic that resonates with your journey. Maybe you want to explore how dreams tie into your destiny, or what repeating numbers really mean when seen by the chosen. This isn't a one-sided stage. It's a sacred conversation, and your voice matters here. Now let's return to the signs. You see, there are divine evidences hidden in places the world considers ordinary. But nothing about your body is random. For those chosen and marked, the physical is the canvas of the spiritual. Let's dive deeper into 4 lesser-known evidences that God uses to activate and confirm His chosen, especially those with the letter M and the crescent moon on their palms. 1. Palmar warmth in prayer moments. Have you ever clasped your hands in prayer and then suddenly felt them warm? If someone lit a divine ember beneath your skin, for many marked by God, this warmth isn't a medical anomaly or poor circulation. It's a spiritual attunement signal. Your palms, which carry the moon and the M, become activated in moments of alignment. It often happens when you are in deep worship or spiritual surrender, moments of emotional compassion for someone else, times when you are unknowingly standing in the gap for others. It is said that Moses' hands glowed after being in the presence of God. Could your warmth be that same divine current awakening within you? When your palms burn or vibrate in stillness, it's not the body, it's the soul touching the veil. 2. The path of veins, not just biology, but blueprint. If you've noticed your veins standing out more than others, especially in your hands or arms, it may not be just about genetics or muscle tone. Veins are divine highways. They carry blood, yes, but for the chosen, they channel light. In ancient, H is in the blood. And when your veins appear prominently, especially during spiritual activities, it is as if the divine is flowing through you visibly. Some chosen ones report veins that form shapes like crosses or swords, pulse stronger during prayer or prophecy, heat up or tingle when near other spiritual people. This isn't fantasy. It's God's wiring showing through your skin. Don't be surprised if your veins become more visible when you speak truth or stand in spiritual authority, because when the spirit is full, the body follows. 3. Unusual sensitivity to environments. Marked individuals often walk into a space and instantly feel what others do not. Maybe you've walked into a room and sensed tension before anyone said a word, or you've stood next to someone and felt overwhelmed by sadness that wasn't yours. This is not emotional instability. It is divine sensitivity. Those with the crescent moon and the M tend to be empaths, but on a prophetic level. Spiritual pressure, detecting unseen conflicts. Carriers of atmospheric authority, your mere presence shifts the room. God didn't give you this gift to be crushed by it. He gave it so that you would become a thermostat, not a thermometer. You don't just react, you change the temperature. 4. Patterns of rapid restoration. Here's something you may have dismissed. Your body, your emotions, even your life circumstances bounce back faster than others. Maybe your wounds heal quickly, or after emotional storms, you return to peace faster than those around you. Or perhaps life tried to bury you and somehow you resurfaced stronger. This is no accident. In the ancient numerology of Hebrew texts, the number 8 represents new beginnings, resurrection, and supernatural restoration. Those chosen by God, especially those who bear visible signs like the M and the Crescent, are often linked to the 8th day anointing, the kind that revives what should have stayed down. You rise. Stronger, but because you're coded to renew, you are a vessel in plain sight. Let this be a clear word. If you are watching this and resonating deeply, there is a reason. There are 7.9 billion people on Earth. Only a select few are chosen. Fewer still are marked. And only a remnant of the remnant awakens to understand their calling. If you carry the M, if your palm holds the crescent, then you are part of that remnant. This isn't about religion, denomination, or ego. This is about divine assignment and spiritual alignment. You are not just a believer, you are a bearer. So take a deep breath. Feel your hands. Look at the veins. Notice the marks. And ask yourself, what has been trying to speak through my body all these years? The body is often the last part to lie, but the first place God writes His truth. Chosen one, if you've come this far, it's because something deep within you is awakening. The letter M on your palm. The perfect crescent moon etched in T in your hands. The intensity in your presence. These were not accidents of biology. They were divine fingerprints, blueprints, seals. But a seal is not just for identification, it is for activation. You were marked not just to recognize, but to rise. Many walk this earth unaware of why they were born. But you were written into time with codes in your body that align with a calling the world cannot cancel. And now you must decide. Will you walk with the knowledge of your seal, or let it remain a forgotten prophecy? Heaven did not just stamp you with a mark for decoration. You were not just noticed, you were needed. Those with the M are spiritual mediators, guardians of moral truth, holders of justice and mercy in equal measure. They often lead others without speaking much, through presence, through alignment, through their ability to perceive beyond appearances. The crescent moon speaks of divine intuition, sensitivity to celestial rhythms, and a soul connected to S. These individuals walk in revelation. They are dreamers, seers, and intuitives who read patterns where others see chaos. But those who carry both, you are what many mystics call a code bearer. A person who not only receives divine information, but also transmits it. You speak and atmospheres change. You enter rooms and broken hearts begin to mend, even if no words are exchanged. This is why your life has never been simple. The battles have been greater, the misunderstandings deeper, because you were never fighting only for yourself, but for generations. And let me tell you something profound. Your marks did not appear the day you were born. They were written into you before the foundation of the world. The hidden number of your awakening, 13. You may think of 13 as unlucky, but spiritually, The number 13 is tied to transformation, divine rebellion, and spiritual warriors who break cycles. Those with sacred signs on their palms are often connected to this number. Why? Life was not meant to follow the crowd. It was designed to reform what others feared to confront. So if your birthday, time of awakening, or pivotal moments include the number 13, take it as confirmation. You are anointed to break patterns. You do not repeat history. You rewrite it. The body speaks what the mouth cannot say. Have you noticed the subtle messages? Goosebumps during silence, but not from cold. A trembling in your right hand when someone lies. Sudden peace when you enter a chaotic space. Recurring dreams tied to water, keys, or doors. These are not random. These are spiritual pulses, alerts that you are operating in your gift, often without knowing. You have been living your calling in shadows, but it's time to walk in clarity. Remember this: those who carry the sacred marks also carry sacred assignments. And with awareness comes accountability. You were preserved not just to survive, but to guide, heal, awaken, and witness. You are the living, not just flesh and blood. It is temple architecture. The letter M often lies along the mount of intuition and will. The crescent moon curves alongside lifelines or fate lines. And between those symbols is the sacred valley, your palm's silent altar. In the days of old, prophets would anoint altars with oil. Today, your palm is the altar, and God anoints you through revelation. You've likely asked, why me? Why do I feel so much? Why do I never quite fit? Because you are not meant to fit where you're called to lead. What now? 3 steps for the marked. If everything you've heard resonates, here's your call to action, not from a man, but from heaven speaking through your soul. 1. Recognize your mission. Begin to speak aloud the truth you now accept. I have been marked. I am chosen. I will walk as one who carries divine purpose. Even whispering it shifts something in your atmosphere. 2. Write what you see. Start journaling dreams, sensations, patter. Your hands are sacred territory. What they touch, build, and bless matters. If your hands warm in prayer or dreams repeat themselves, document them. A pattern will emerge, and with it, a path. 3. Connect with others who are sealed. No prophet walks alone. Elijah had Elisha. Moses had Aaron. Jesus had disciples. So join the community below. Leave a comment like, I carry the M and the moon. I'm awakening. You are not alone. And this channel was made to gather those who've been scattered by life, but connected by spirit. You are a walking prophecy, the divine architecture of the marked. Before the world gave you a name, heaven gave you a symbol. Not written in ink, but carved into the very architecture of your being. This is why no matter how much time passes, you keep being called back. Called to look at your hands. Called to ask why you've always been different. Called to awaken to what others dismissed. Let's speak plainly. You didn't choose the crescent moon or the M. The crescent is the first light in the dark, a signal that though night is here, the sun is returning. It represents vision in hidden times. You are someone who can see in shadows, who receives guidance not when it's easy, but when it's silent. Your soul is tethered to moonlight, because your mission is to bring light to confusion, to stand when others collapse, and to move according to heaven's calendar, not the world's. As for the letter M, its geometry is not accidental. It rises, falls, and rises again. That's your life pattern. You've risen, you've fallen, and you've risen again, wiser, sharper, stronger. In Hebrew, the letter M corresponds with the 13th letter Mem, which is connected to water, mystery, and divine knowledge hidden in the depths. Your intuition, your dreams, your uncanny sense of timing, they are all echoes of that sacred flow. So if you've been told you're too sensitive, too intense, too much, it's because the world was never built to hold what you. Real battle of the chosen. Here's something no one tells you when you awaken. Being chosen can feel like being attacked, because before your calling is embraced by others, it will often be opposed. Not because you're wrong, but because you're real. And truth is unsettling in a world addicted to lies. Maybe you've been left out by family for reasons they couldn't explain, attracted envy without doing anything to provoke it, lost opportunities that made no sense until later. When you realized you were being redirected, not rejected, let me assure you, that was divine protection, because the chosen ones are set apart, not just to shine, but to be shielded until the appointed time. And perhaps that time is now. The mystery of the 144,000, why the mark matters. In Revelation 7, it is written that 144,000 would be sealed, a symbolic number representing those who were marked on their foreheads before the Great Tribulation. But what if these marks also appear in the Spirit, within the life's alignment? What if you are part of that remnant? You see, God does not operate like the systems of men. He marks those He chooses in codes, signs, and patterns, so that only the spiritually alert can recognize them. That's why this message doesn't go viral in the usual way, because it's not for the crowd, it's for the coded, the sealed, the awakened. And if your hands are whispering truths your mouth cannot yet speak, you're already part of something ancient. The M is not for maybe, it's for mission. The moon is not just a shape, it is a spiritual compass that always points back to your assignment. You are a signal tower for the invisible. You may not see it yet, but others feel it. When you walk into a space, the frequency shifts, not because of charisma, but because of calling. Your presence awakens two reactions: peace for the broken, discomfort for the false. And that's because you carry divine contrast. You're not here to reveal what was hidden. You're here to mirror back what people refuse to face. You're here to unlock what others never knew was sealed. That is why your journey has been harder, because heaven does not waste high oil on shallow vessels. Your hardship wasn't punishment, it was preparation. The code was never lost, just buried beneath survival. For years you may have lived with your eyes open, but your spirit asleep. Because trauma can bury identity. Routine can bury purpose. Fear can bury fire. But nothing is ever lost in the hands of the divine. And now, through your marks, your dreams, your memories, your triggers, God is calling the real you back to the surface. You were never unmarked. You were simply waiting for this activation. Your awakening was timed, not delayed. There are no accidents in your unfolding. Every pause, every silence, every detour was part of a divine rhythm, like the tides, like the phases of the moon that mirror your own becoming. You were not behind. You were being timed for revelation. Because chosen ones are not rushed. They are refined. You see, there's a difference between being popular and being prepared. Some are born to be seen. You were born to see. Some are sent to entertain. You were sent to ignite remembrance. And that's why you couldn't go with the crowd. That's why your seasons of isolation weren't setbacks, but sacred shelters. God was hiding you in plain sight, not to harm you, but to protect the frequency you carry until the moment of unveiling. Because when the chosen awaken, they don't just change themselves, they shift timelines, they activate others, and they rewire the spaces they enter. You are not just part of history, you are part of prophecy. There, we're always drawn to the unseen. Think about it. Why were you, from a young age, drawn to stars, to symbols, to stories that felt strangely familiar even though no one taught them to you? Why did you dream vividly, feel deeply, know things before they happened? Because within you lives a spiritual memory, a code not written by human hands, but sealed in the soul. The ancient ones called it gnosis, divine knowing. Today, the world may call you strange, sensitive, intense, but they don't see the scrolls written behind your eyes. They don't hear what your silence is protecting. They don't realize that what feels like intensity is actually accuracy. You were never meant to be ordinary. Ordinary wouldn't hold the weight of the assignment you carry. The universe leaves signs for the marked if you know where to look. Have you ever noticed repeating numbers? Patterns in your life that seem too aligned to be random. 1111, 333, 707. They're not just numbers. They, spirit, alerts, confirmations, reminders from the heavens that your steps are being ordered even in the chaos. Numbers are how the divine leaves fingerprints, because those who are marked live by divine math. 3, the number of resurrection and divine completion. 7, spiritual perfection and the end of cycles. 12, governmental authority and divine order. And when you begin to notice these codes, your spirit starts remembering what your mind forgot. That you're part of a kingdom not made by man, and your life is not a reaction, it is a mission unfolding. You carry the frequency of remembrance. When you speak, even in whispers, something ancient stirs in others. You are a tuning fork for those who forgot they were also chosen. That's why people feel different around you but can't explain it. That's why some are drawn and others are repelled. That's why you've always felt like you didn't quite belong in one world, because you were born to stand between bridge between the visible and invisible, the earthly and the eternal. You were born to break spiritual amnesia, and this moment is your activation. The marks are the invitation, but your voice is the key. It's not just the marks on your hands, it's the voice in your soul. Your voice carries light codes. That's why silence has felt so painful, because your very essence was designed to speak, to wake, to witness, not to convince the world, but to call your tribe. Those with ears to hear will know. They will recognize the signature of your energy, because it will sound like home. So speak, even if your voice shakes, even if your past tries to haunt you, even if you're still healing, because chosen ones aren't perfect, they're precise. You were chosen not because of what you've done, but because of who you are. And now, finally, you're remembering.